trans and the sort of compulsory veganism and all of that, which was all kind of fighting paper dragons, paper tigers that didn't really exist. But I think Labour needs to be careful that it doesn't seem to be on the anti-motorist side, and with London and Wales showing Labour in power, that has got people worried. I think it's perfectly sensible to encourage people to use public transport, to encourage cycling. Not every cycle lane makes sense in my view, but I think forcing people is never a good idea.
But it's so unfair. You say about using public transport. If you're in a rural area, you're not near a train station or a bus.
Yeah.
And all these new rules, you know, the expansion of ULEZ is an absolute cash grab. We know what it is. It is absolutely disgusting that he's got away with it. And I think the Mayor of London could actually lose Keir Starmer the election because, Captain Hindsight there.
Do you think that's...
I think for Labour it's become an absolute nightmare. London is the safest part of the country for Labour, in theory. Even in the difficult Corbyn years, it stuck by. Labour even gained seats in London in 2019 when it was losing across the country. And yet, what should have been a slam dunk has turned out into Keir Starmer's biggest nightmare. And I think there was a big danger that, especially because there's a new voting system where people don't get, your second choice doesn't count if you vote for one of the minor parties.
Oh, yes, it's changed.
So, yeah, so therefore, if you vote for the Greens or the Lib Dems, historically, you could transfer to Labour and you'd see Labour elected. It's first past the post. And I think that, that Susan Hall for the Tories stands a chance that nobody expected her to have.
Susan Hall, Howard Cox. Susan's been called the slug because she's so slow at getting anything done. I think Howard Cox, as Mayor of London, would be fantastic. And we've had him here on the show, and I agree with everything he said.
But he might be good with the transport stuff, but what about the other stuff, so knife crime and everything else like that? I mean, he has a speciality in one area. Susan has been through the whole GLA system and the...
Well, look what happened in Croydon. It's so shocking and sad, and our knife crime is absolutely...
I mean, Sadiq's got,
but,
months to sort to say...
Rishi, if I was Rishi, if he wants to win the election, he needs to secure our borders, cut our taxes and stop the race to net zero. Then he might win.
OK.
Remember his pledges? Those 5 pledges he made earlier in the year. Stop the boats. That's not going to happen.
Inflation down by half.
He might just make that one. The other 3, growth, debt. He's not going to meet them.
NHS targets.
And the NHS was going the wrong.
Well, that's because they're striking, and
that's certainly not helping.
And they're doing it deliberately, in a sense, to try and unseat.
But they could have said.
He knows that the
Well, let's ask, what is Keir Starmer going to do? What's he going to do?
We'll be talking about him in a moment. He hasn't got off scot-free, but this show's nothing without you and your views. Let's welcome our great British voices, their chance to be on the show and tell us what they think about the topics we're discussing today. I've got 4 of you. You horrible people. I'm going to start with you, David Baum in Watford. Come on then, David, what do you think? Will these pro-motorist policies pay off?
I think in the end of the day, yes, they will, because we, the average person, who are not the London elite, actually understand we can't afford 20-mile-an-hour zones. We don't want 15-minute cities. We actually want to live a good life, live in the way we can live best. And to have this induction by Parliament to say we've got to do this and we've got to do that, no. And may I actually say one other thing? Thank you, GB, for being on air. We need you.
Oh, thank you, David. We love you. Right, let's go to Jonathan Jones in Tregotham. He's got his tea. I was getting mine ready for you, Jonathan. Yeah. So what do you think? Well, you need to get a GB News mug again. Where's it gone? Have you dropped it or broken it or something?
I've got my tree mapping mug out. I've been mapping trees. But, I agree with the previous speakers. I think he's got it right. I think he's nailed it. I think he could even win the election with policies like this. Motorists need to be spoken up for. He can be an environmentalist and still do things in a sensible way.
Yeah,
and by the way, he had me planting a tea bush at number 10 recently, so he might even get my vote.
Hey, nice. All right, let's go to Seshni in Milton Keynes. Seshni.
Good afternoon, Nana. Yes, thank you for having me on. Nana, I think, as we've heard from your panel, I agree with Lizzie and Matthew. Rishi Sunak is strategically trying to win the election, so obviously all these pro-policies are in place, and he's trying to end the war on motorists. But I do think that, I don't think it's going to work, to be honest.
You don't think it's going to work? No, well, otherwise we've got Keir Starmer, our friend, U-turn. We'll call him U-turn or wheel turn. We'll all turn.
Let's go. Prime Minister.
Yeah, Lee Webb. What about you? He's there in Bedford. Lee, finally to you. 30 seconds.
I think Rishi's going in the right direction, certainly. But I think what he's got to do, and he's got time to do it, he's actually got to make these things happen. Now, with the speed limits, it does need a change in the law, because I believe local councils have that power to set speed limits in the local authority areas off where it isn't a trunk road or a motorway. So he's going to have to change that law if he wants that power to be brought back at a national level. But certainly he's doing some good sound bites, but he's got to act on them to get my vote.
Yeah, well, I think they're all pretty good actors. Thank you very much, David in Watford, Jonathan in Cornwall, Seshni in Milton Keynes and Lee in Bedford. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Right, well, it's time now for a mini debate, because this is a story that caught my eye. The Labour leader robbing Peter to pay Paul with our private schools. Sir Keir Starmer, he's doubled down on the plans to impose a 20% VAT charge on private schools, despite doing a U-turn on the charitable status. Now, the Labour leader says that his policy will save what he calls an appalling state education